it getting dark?
It depends.
It depends on what?
It depends on us.
If the noctambule decides to open his eyes.
If the nyctophiles want to shut his senses, dismantle them.
Can you see one? Can you notice one star?
The electric sun is too low. Only thick darkness is glowing. Darkness makes me dance.
Darkness injects me sleep.
You could fight against this melatonin running in your veins.
Why do you want to manipulate night?
You're already fabricating it anyway. In the dark, I'm blind to you.
Because you're not tangible.
It's blind thoughts. You're blurred with too much light.
Is it an overdose?
It's a political device. Couldn't you, Night, imagine a space?
It's not a no man's land, but it's a forgotten time dimension.
Because night temporality is exploded.
Night hours are not rationalized.
Hours are just calculated, counted for the following day.
The contrast is too settled, imprinted, stamped.
But this contrast is getting diluted. Nighttime is being eroded. It's a black suicide.
Stressed and normalized by a financial rhythm.
And you don't even question it.
I contemplate it, but I don't interrogate nighttime. This silence in your cracking bones.
A fluidity I keep on forgetting. It's rare because it's fading. Nighttime voyeurism is the psychology of intimate hostilities.
Your neighbour is more interesting in the dark.
Because through his window I can infiltrate where he keeps so closed. And he hates it.
The enigma of darkness, a nature we're obsessed with solving.
There's always a little bit of hope in something you cannot define. Revolutions are night embryos.
And what happens when the sun comes out?
We have reinvented daytime.
Is it getting dark?
It depends.
It depends on what?
It depends on us.
If the noctambule decides to open his eyes, drift in his twilight condition.
To enter the Night Decompression Zone as a celebratory manifesto of the night, of this other side of the city and of the other side of you.
A night imagined territory.
The source is the intangible, the material, the destabilizing.
As if I started to draw the unsure, almost invisible. Can you notice where it struggles to emerge?
The boundary of the Night Decompression Zone is blurred. It starts where the artificial glowing refuses to die.
Between what I can see in the electrical brightness and what I understand of the intangible. He showed me one of the 5 cut-in entrances through the boundary.
It's carved into the landscape. My feet hardly fit in the width of the pathway. This vanishing line is a testimony of an existing territory of darkness.
The boundary will remain a proof legacy of the shrinking darkness.
A few more steps in, a docking station.
It is your only source of light for the journey.
In the dark, I'm blind to you.
Because you're not tangible.
It's blind thoughts. You're blurred with too much light. I've groped my way along these infiltrating veins, emerging from the boundary. The night plant garden invades the entire decompression zone.
It's an unstable landscape. My steps are terrestrial and lunar. I walk.
You walk in disorientation. Your offset footprints mark your choreographed adaptation. You walk. The darkness makes you dance.
2:09 a.m. An Ipomea alba flower has bloomed. It opens quickly in the evening.
It's a parallel Eden for nyctophiles.
I can see a few lanterns wandering in the hills.
Voyeurism is a psychology of intimate hostilities.
Because I want to see, he can see me too. He He feels threatened while thinking he's protected by his light. He shuts it after all, and we become nocturnal species in a tense diplomacy. In the decompression chamber, it sits across the boundary and straddles the glowing and the dark.
It inhales the exterior electric lights and progresses towards a spaceless void where people seem to fade.
She serves me a drink of melatonin. Can you fight against yours, she says.
Against your brain gland permitted by darkness, which make you sleep. If you can, if it's so smoothly injected in you, are you still a diurnal species?
Or can you embrace these vague forms? You talk to me as a physical metonymy of your own body. I hear when you smile.
Because I can infiltrate what I never see, what you keep so closed. Do you hate it? It's higher up there.
Only fake darkness is glowing. The pre-reverie observatory is the mist between daydrift and true dream.
It is taking you up through an overwhelming obscurity. It seems to claim that
nighttime is an endangered species. An artificial light constellation maps the glowing skyline.
photophilia is a tool to intensify and control it.
Is it an overdose?
It's a political device. I have become an amateur observing disabled stars.
The pre-reverie is a space for invented reality. They could hobble along there. Nyctophilia is not a disease, she says. Understand the disposition of your body.
In a deep inhalation, you arrive at the release center. It is the nyctotherapy you need, and they treat your biological lack of real darkness.
The black core is the epitome of space. It makes me yawn and laugh while I dive into a meditation of oxygen.
Around the core, an envelope for light protection. Every time there's an additional night walk in the country, a new piece is added to the skin. For the nyctophile, the noctambule, the insomniac, the sleepwalker.
Against the cancer of your senses, the disease of a vital frustration.
Against the black suicide.
This silence in your cracking bones. In the temperature public house, your day world is gradually left further and further behind.
The heavier weight of my musculature drags the space half sunk into the ground. Your temperature drops.
The open funnel frames you in darkness, empty thickness.
Day windows pull in sunlight. Night openings challenge to reach the invisible.
My brainwaves draw an alpha rhythm, which explodes your temporality.
Day normalized rhythm is set by a economical system in a universal order.
My mental landscape escapes through this dark window.
You become the one I tell my thoughts to, and we start a midnight feast. I am suspended on a 3-dimensional poem.
It's a delirium of broken visuals projected on a glass brain. Your hallucinations are like a hypnagogic cinema.
It's a projection crossing the screen, bouncing on trees, reflecting on water.
They're all here, watching my jerky movie losing its meaning while being appropriated by everyone.
A moment of sudden night imagined ideas written down on carbon paper.
The kinetic colours are merging into our midnight swim.
The lights are blurred and revealed by the mist doubled by our steamed bodies.
I lay down, looking at the suspended night plants. They drain all night what they gain from the bright side of the Nyctemeron.
I've examined a third of my life, this universe of its own special dimension. If the charcoal is revealed on the white page, if the night plants are fed by natural lights, if I can discover a new way of reading myself.
Then what happens when the sun comes out?
We have reinvented daytime.